Meet Jide, Collins, and Tega, three friends who grew up in the same poor neighborhood but chose different forms of stealing. Jide became a street thief, robbing people with violence. Unfortunately, his violent ways caught up with him, and he was killed by a mob. On the other hand, Collins chose a more corporate route and became a bank fraudster, stealing money through the financial system. However, his actions eventually caught up with him, and he was arrested and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Lastly, we have Tega, who chose a more spiritual path and used religion to exploit people for money. He too was exposed, and his church was destroyed, leading to his disappearance in disgrace. Now, let's take a closer look at these three friends and their choices. Jide, the street thief, was known for his violent methods. His actions ultimately led to his death, as a mob caught up with him and took his life. Collins, the corporate thief, was more cautious and strategic in his approach. He used the financial system to steal money, but his actions were eventually discovered, and he was arrested and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Lastly, we have Tega, the spiritual thief, who used religion to exploit people for money. His actions were also exposed, leading to the destruction of his church and his disappearance in disgrace. So, there you have it, folks. Three friends who grew up in the same neighborhood and chose different forms of stealing. It's a fascinating story that highlights the consequences of one's actions.
First, there was Muna. She was Jide's friend and knew the pressures of poverty just as he did. She saw the allure of the fast life he was chasing, but she also saw the anxiety and the inevitable risk. While Jide chose shortcuts, Muna chose the quiet consistency of the classroom. She stayed in school, pouring her energy into her studies even when it was incredibly difficult. Today, Muna is a teacher. Her wealth isn't measured in fleeting gains, but in the minds she shapes and the young people she inspires. She uses her own story to show them that integrity, while often the harder path, is the only one that builds a future you can be proud of. Then we have Ao, who lived next door to Collins. He watched as Collins built a seemingly impressive life through digital deception, but Ao understood that a foundation built on dishonesty is just sand. Instead of trying to replicate Collins's tricks, Ao took a small loan and started a simple point-of-sale business. His venture was built on the opposite principle: absolute transparency and trust. Growth was slow, but it was real. Each transaction strengthened his reputation. That small, honest business has now blossomed into a thriving enterprise, proving that sustainable success is earned, not cheated. Finally, there was Chisom. She was an usher in Tega's church, a sincere believer who wanted to serve. However, from her unique vantage point, she began to see the cracks in the facade. She witnessed the performance, the manipulation, and the disconnect between the words being preached and the actions being taken. Heartbroken but resolute, she quietly left. She didn't start a rival ministry out of spite. She started a small, genuine fellowship in her home. It was a space for authentic connection and healing, free from pretense. That fellowship has since grown, becoming a true sanctuary for people searching for sincerity. Muna, Ao, and Chisom saw the same temptations, but chose a different currency: patience, honesty, and authenticity. Their stories are a powerful reminder that we are not defined by the negative examples around us, but by the conscious, positive choices we make in response. Thank you so much for watching and reflecting on this with me. If these stories resonated with you, feel free to follow or subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one.